I don't believe it. I don't believe him. I think he means it when he says it. But it's just the bet the Cowboys have made. At this point, they play these 1- and 2-game seasons. It's all we really care about is, like, get to the playoffs and win some games. That's what you do in this sport, and that's what we're looking for from them. The Mike McCarthy thing is interesting because if it were any other situation, maybe you just, Mike McCarthy, we're working, we're getting better, great season, and we'll get him next year. The problem is that it's a very successful relationship they're having with Mike McCarthy. For now, it's not just in a vacuum. It's that you're at a restaurant with your significant other and you're enjoying a nice meal, and then over at the bar, you see your ex, and your ex is single, and your ex looks great, and your ex is like, you want to have a drink? And roll the videotape. Jerry, here's how I feel this morning about, oh, my goodness. Oh, sweet mama baby. Hey, can we get the check, please? It doesn't say Bledsoe, it says Prescott. And he's just sitting there, and, man, they are out of a relationship, and they're looking for a new one, and you used to have a great time together.
But
you're sitting there with
but you're sitting there with your partner, and that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, I am, because, you know, the partner's fine. We were sitting there having a club sandwich, but, man, we had some wild nights, and we got some futures for us. The fact that he's just sitting there. You know, it's an interesting thing, because you know, you look at Mike McCarthy and, well, he's a known guy, but he didn't even get back to a Super Bowl since 2010, and he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, Sean Payton got one 2009 with a Hall of Fame quarterback and never got back to a Super Bowl, and yet they're looked at totally wildly differently. Like, Payton is like, oh, my God, Sean Payton, and Mike McCarthy. And I think that's probably unfair to Mike McCarthy. However, I said it earlier in the week, and I will say it again. I think if the Cowboys lose this wild card matchup, I think that Sean Payton will be the next head coach of the Cowboys. And I think as they're walking off the field, Payton could just text Jerry and just say the 3 most powerful letters in the English language, S-U-P, sup. And Jerry's going to say, sup with you. Maybe we should get together. If the Cowboys lose, there's a sup text from Payton to Jerry Jones, and I think it's a done deal. I do.
Sup, big head.
What's up, big head?
Sup,
you talking about Sean Payton. All right, if you're Sean Payton, we've already heard his name being linked to the Denver Broncos. They're interested. Yeah. If you're Sean Payton, quarterback-wise, fourth quarter, 2-minute drill, we're going to win a game. Do you want Russell Wilson or do you want Dak Prescott?
I want the star on my visor, and I want to go to Dallas.
Doesn't matter.
I want to come home. Yeah. Look, I don't want any part of Russell Wilson right now. If you're asked the question, no, I don't want it. I'd rather coach Kyler at this point. No.
Okay.
All right. I'd rather go to Arizona than Denver. Yes, I would.
I'm not mad at that. Jerry Jones said he's not going to evaluate him on just this game. I get it. He's going to evaluate him on other games as well. And for the Cowboys, as they finish up the season, you look at them, and it's just the inconsistencies. When they're playing against a team where the game is built up like the Minnesota Vikings or the Philadelphia Eagles down the stretch, we get the best shot from the Dallas Cowboys, and we get a game where they end up on top and they come out ready to play. But then also you watch the game versus the Houston Texans down the stretch, and then this game this past week against the Washington Commanders. And if you're Jerry Jones, you're sitting there and you're just like, which team am I watching? Is it the team that shows up in a big game versus a great opponent where the game means so much as everybody's talking about it? Or is it a game like last week where the Commanders come out there, a team that's not going to the playoffs, and Jerry's like, well, we could have changed our seeding depending upon what happened in the Philadelphia Eagles game, and we just go out there and lay a dud. Don't perform, don't do anything well. So I think it's not only going to be the wild card game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it's going to be as they finish the season. Yes, they won 12 games, but what's up with the inconsistencies? And then you mix that in with how the playoff game went last year. I think for Jerry, you look at the entire picture and it's just like, all right, he had back-to-back 12-win seasons, but at the same time, can it get me ultimately where I want to get? And that's a Super Bowl championship. So those are going to be the things I think that factors in for Jerry Jones. This one game, no, it's not going to take precedent over everything that Mike McCarthy has done. But I think he's going to look at the total package and say, all right, is he the guy that's going to get me to where I want to go?
It's pretty amazing. Maybe we'll eat our words. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Maybe McCarthy wins a Super Bowl this year. And, like, this is all moot. Maybe. The fact of the matter is they have won 12. I don't know any other coach in the league that would win 12 games and have these questions. And yet, I don't think it's crazy to question whether his job security is safe. I look at Mike, and it's like, all right, 2 great regular seasons. Last year's playoff game was abysmal. You're at home against the Niners. Clock management issues, the most penalties you could ever imagine. Just totally, national televised game, everyone watching, 2 huge franchises, and Kyle Shanahan runs circles around you, and they beat you in your building. I look at this weekend, and I'm like, all right, Monday night, again, same deal, everyone watching. And I look at Jerry. Jerry Jones is an interesting one here because I think everyone expects Jerry to, like, give Sean Payton the world, and here's Jerry's coaches over the last Jerry liked having Jason Garrett there. Jerry liked having a guy that's like gonna, yes sir, and I'll biz, and Jerry likes having Mike McCarthy there. Is Jerry Jones gonna break the bank and pay Sean Payton more than the Penner family will, or more than the Teppers are going to, if he interviews with Carolina, or more than the McNairs down in Houston? Jerry's got a healthy status and enjoys where he's at on that org chart. You bring Sean Payton in, you're talking about going back to the Parcells thing, where it's like, all right, this is a cult of personality. Sean Payton's coming with, and of course, us at the table are like, you want that, you want that. Mike McCarthy's a little safer for Jerry, I think. And as far as financially, I think it's a different cost point with Mike McCarthy than Jerry Jones. These are real in-the-weed things, but I don't know if it's a perfect match. And I don't know if Sean Payton wants it, if he's willing to take less money than somewhere else to go do it. But I don't see Jerry Jones, breaking the bank and going nuts and saying, Sean Payton, here's my franchise. It's just not in Jerry's nature.
But what if it's his dream job? I think there's a value. I think there's a value in that star that Kyle is referring to. There's a value. Like the paycheck may be higher in Carolina, Arizona, or Denver, but like for Sean Payton, it might just be that visor means more to him to live in Dallas, to coach that team, to maybe be there 15 years than any other team. Jerry Jones, I really envy that man. He's just a boss. He literally is the boss. And he gets to say these things this week. He said things in August, and we talk about him. We lead the show with them. And then he could say a completely different thing next week, and we would talk about it, and we would lead the show with it. Wow, I wish I had that job. I could just walk out, someone wants to hear what I have to say. If he changes his mind next week, let's say after a playoff loss, if he changes his mind in 2 weeks after a win and then a loss, the only time I really envision this situation playing out. The only time Mike McCarthy, I think, it makes sense to stay as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is if they win the Super Bowl. I just don't see the playoffs going any differently where it's going to change my mind. Like, wow, no, he's still definitely the guy. This might be like an unfair likability judgment of Mike McCarthy, but I just can't get there. And sometimes you speak to like the flair that Jerry Jones has. Like sometimes flair has to meet flair. And like I think Sean Payton and Jerry Jones, I kind of want to see it. It's kind of this marriage of the personalities that feels good. It feels right.
It might have nothing to do with Mike McCarthy. It might be an infatuation with Sean Payton.
Yes.
I'm going to try to say this respectfully. You talked about Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is 80 years old. And I think if you get to that point in your life, I imagine you might say, how many more of these decisions am I going to get to make? And maybe I make the bold choice rather than the conservative one because I want to seal this thing. And if you get to that point, it's fine. You brought up this example before. Marty Schottenheimer, the late Marty Schottenheimer, went 14-2 with the San Diego Chargers and was let go. Because it's just, you got to the playoffs and lost. We have a great roster. We think we bring a lot of people in here. And you bring in Norv Turner, and then he was doing the same thing. He was going to the playoffs like that. I think with Mike McCarthy, if you get there and it's just again, and you lose to this average at best, middling Tampa Bay team, what are we doing? We're playing one-game seasons, and you've lost 2 of them. I think we got to get the guy up across.
Oh man, well,